Just a few short weeks ago, Justin Trudeau announced that he was going to spend billions of your tax dollars that we don't have to buy a 50-year-old pipeline because of the fact that his policies, which have completely ruined any investment capacity in Canada for new natural resource projects, had essentially led major pipeline developer Kinder Morgan to look at abandoning the Trans Mountain Pipeline. So Justin Trudeau, of course, you'll remember, because there was such massive outcry across the country against his failure, decided to jump in and try and bail the pipeline out. Now, you've seen many videos from me on this. You know that I believe that Justin Trudeau can't manage this issue, that we wouldn't be having to nationalize a pipeline if Justin Trudeau hadn't put in place policies like the tanker ban, the carbon tax, changed the regulation environment such that major natural resource companies don't know if they're ever going to, they don't even know how the decision-making process works now. Why would they spend billions of dollars in Canada when it's like an unstable political environment? You know that I think that his policies have led to this absolutely ridiculous situation where Kinder Morgan said, hey, why would we invest in Canada? And that's just so shameful, because this was a private company that was prepared to invest, billions of dollars in the Canadian economy to create jobs and to build this pipeline out in one of the world's most strict environmental regulatory frameworks, and frankly, one of the most ethical frameworks in the world, right? We've seen Justin Trudeau fail. He drove away the Energy East project. He did absolutely nothing when former President Obama vetoed the Keystone XL pipeline, and his government, Justin Trudeau's government, was the one that overturned the arm's length decision of the National Energy Board to approve the Northern Gateway pipeline. So Justin Trudeau has basically said no to energy infrastructure in Canada, but he decided to try and save his political skin by throwing billions of dollars that comes from you that he doesn't have at this issue. Now, we know, I've said to you in my videos before, how is Justin Trudeau going to do this? Governments aren't in the business of building pipelines, and we knew that the other shoe was going to drop. This was going to get more expensive, and this week we found out, reports are showing that, again, this is 2 months after Trudeau's announcement, that the Kinder Morgan build out, should the government actually be able to do it, is going to cost at least $1.9 billion extra. That's a projection that some documents showed this week. And that's, of course, your tax dollars. So, this is, and think about this, we don't even have a shovel in the ground, and they're saying that it's going to cost another $1.9 billion. I don't understand. We also don't have any details on when the build out is going to start. These same documents suggested that the build out was going to be coming a lot later. And certainly we're very concerned about the fact that, where's the construction? Where is this supposed to start? Kinder Morgan was supposed to start that, sort of a few months ago, and nothing is happening. So again, I just want to raise this issue for you, that we're not even like 2 months after this announcement, and already we're seeing documentation and projections that the project is well over budget in the magnitude of billions of dollars, and they're behind construction on that. And that's, of course, what happens when government nationalizes projects. And this, of course, is why a conservative government would be doing everything possible to create an investment climate such that private industry can come in and take private dollars, not your tax dollars, to create jobs, to create prosperity, rather than trying to raise your taxes to spend money on projects that private industry was already going to build. So, as you're going into a beautiful summer weekend here, if you're talking to friends and family, just make sure that you're telling them that, look, the shovels aren't even in the ground here, and projections are showing $1.9 billion of potential cost overruns on the Kinder Morgan pipeline, if it gets built at all. And of course, we know that Justin Trudeau still hasn't taken any action on some of the big issues with regard to Kinder Morgan, like enforcing the rule of law around the protester issue, or invoking Section 9210C of the Constitution, which would put the project entirely in federal jurisdiction and prevent the BC government from obstructing the project build out on issues within its jurisdiction, like things like permitting to build roads out to the site, for example. And it also, of course, isn't dealing, Justin Trudeau hasn't done anything to say how he is going to, let's say, expedite court cases or obstructions that the BC government might be putting in place by expediting court cases, let's say, to the Supreme Court, so that that's not another roadblock. Justin Trudeau is not looking at any of the major issues here. Mark my words, and I've said this before, him bailing out Kinder Morgan without, with your tax dollars, without doing any of these things, I mean, of course, we're going to continue to see this news about cost overruns. And I just think that that's completely irresponsible. He needs to tell Canadians how he's going to deal with some of these core issues, including the fact that Canada is no longer a place where private industry wants to bring investment dollars to build out natural resource projects. Those systemic issues around our regulation environment that he's created, the tanker ban, the carbon tax, all of those issues are things that Justin Trudeau won't deal with. In fact, the only thing I've seen is his environment minister, Catherine McKenna, basically imply that the government is willing to go to court to sue provincial governments that don't want to put a carbon tax on their population. Governments that have received mandates on that issue, including Doug Ford in Ontario. So, this is a very interesting situation. It's going to be very interesting to see how this politically plays out for the Liberals in upcoming by-elections. But this isn't about politics for the people that I represent in Calgary, and certainly for many of you around Canada that are directly impacted by the natural resources industry in a positive way. This isn't about politics. This is about your job, and this is about making ends meet. So, of course, I encourage you to follow my colleague. Her name is Shannon Stubbs. She's another MP from Alberta, and she's our shadow minister on natural resources, and she's just been fighting this fight on the pipelines all summer. I'm just so amazed by how hard she works. Follow her channel because she's meeting with industry, with workers, and she's just been working so hard to get the message out that this is wrong, and Canada needs some major policy changes to bring investment back and to actually get these projects built out. So I think we're going to be having discussions in the next few months about Canada's energy security, about some of the bigger impacts that this lack of pipelines out to other markets has on the Canadian economy. But certainly Canada's Conservatives will continue to do things like the motions that we put forward in the House of Commons forcing Justin Trudeau to table a plan on some of these issues, which of course he voted down. But also, starting to roll out some of our election platform, as our leader Andrew Scheer did, where he said, look, basically one of the first bills he would table as Prime Minister would be to repeal the carbon tax. We need to bring stability and order back to the investment climate in Canada to ensure that Canada's natural resources and the wealth and prosperity that they provide can be developed in the framework of sustainability, which Canada has always had. Anyway, I'm very proud to stand up for Canada's natural resources industry and its workers. Certainly, there are so many of you across the country who write to me regularly and say we need a voice, we need champions, and I know so many of my colleagues are in the Conservative Party are working hard on your behalf. Don't ever hesitate to write to me in the comments here. Share these videos and just tell other people that, this isn't a one-sided debate. This isn't just about the protesters who get all of the attention. This is about, hundreds of thousands of people across the country who are employed either directly or in secondary and tertiary industries related to the natural resources sector, and they do have a voice, and it's Canada's Conservatives working hard for you. Have a great day.